Hi, hello students. In this video now, I am going to explain about this Schrodinger equation. In the previous classes, that means in the lower classes, in 8th, 9th and in the intermediate first year also, we have learned about the Bohr's atomic theory. According to Bohr, electrons are particles and they revolve around the nucleus in a definite paths, and he called those definite paths as the orbits. So according to Bohr, electrons are particles and their velocity and momentum and their position from the nucleus is calculated simultaneously. That means at the same time we can calculate the position, speed, velocity and momentum, energy of the electrons. Many values, many properties can be calculated at the same time according to Bohr. But in the previous videos we have learned that according to de Broglie, matter also has the real nature, and the microscopic particles means here subatomic particles like electron, proton and neutron, due to their less mass, mainly show the wave character. So that means according to the de Broglie's theory, electrons behave as waves, and according to Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, it is not possible for us to calculate the or to decide the exact position and velocity of the electrons simultaneously. So in order to decide the position of the electrons, we have to depend on the probability. So here we have to consider these 2 points: de Broglie's hypothesis and what is that, Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. So according to de Broglie, electrons have the wave nature, and according to Heisenberg, we have to depend on the probability to find out the position of the electrons. So Schrodinger considered both these theories, de Broglie's theory and Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, and he proposed a new concept, new equation to find out the position and the energy of the electrons in an atom. That is known as the Schrodinger equation. So here we can summarize the concept like this: Schrodinger equation is equal to the de Broglie's hypothesis and Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. So from the Schrodinger equation, we are able to get the same concepts proposed by the Bohr. That means the concept of is stationary waves and the energy values which are proposed by the calculated by the Bohr's atomic model can also be proved correct by using the Schrodinger equation. So anyhow, even though we consider the wave nature, here we get the same energy value for for the electrons of the hydrogen atom by using the Schrodinger equation also. So the same energy values are obtained by using the Schrodinger equation. Now here this is the Schrodinger equation. Here dou square psi, we can call it as dou or d square or del. So d square psi by dx square plus d square psi by dy square plus d square psi upon dz square plus 8 phi square m upon h square into E minus PE into psi is equal to 0. This is known as the Schrodinger equation. Here psi is the amplitude of the electronic wave. You know what is amplitude? So look here, my dears. If assume that the electron is propagating like this, and this is the axis of propagating. So the maximum height or the maximum depth of a wave is known as the amplitude. So here psi is a amplitude of the electronic wave, and E is the total energy of the electron, and H is Planck's constant. P is your potential energy, and M means the mass of the electrons. So these are the terms, and what is that? Their significance. And look here. Now we go for the derivation of the Schrodinger equation. So Schrodinger equation is derived by using a classical wave equation. Here what is classical wave equation? Classical wave equation is this one. Psi is equal to the A into sine 2 phi x upon lambda, sine 2 phi x upon lambda. So here already we have studied that psi is wave function or amplitude. Then what is A means? It is the maximum value of psi. Both indicate the same amplitude, but psi is the amplitude at a given point, and A is the maximum value attainable maximum value of the psi. So here lambda is the wavelength. We know very well that lambda is a wavelength. And here electronic waves are considered as the stationary waves, because if they are progressive waves, then they may not retain in the atom. No, as they are retaining in the atom, we have to consider them as the stationary waves or standing waves. And x is the distance of the particle from the nucleus. Here x, y, z are the distances from the nucleus. Okay, so here we consider that nucleus lies at the origin of the coordinates. So like that. So classical wave equation is psi is equal to A into sine 2 phi x by lambda. Once again, psi is equal to the A into sine 2 phi x by lambda. Sine 2 phi x by lambda, that we have to remember. Okay now. First of all, what we have to do means we have to differentiate that wave equation. So upon differentiating, what do we get? D psi by dx is equal to the A cos 2 phi x by A into 2 phi by lambda. Here this we know very well that the differentiation of the sin theta is equal to the cos theta. So differentiation value of the sin theta is equal to the cos theta. So we get this value. Once again I write, when we differentiate sin theta, we get the cos theta. So in the place of theta, we are having 2 phi x. So here in the differentiation equation, when we differentiate the wave equation, we get cos in the place of the sine. So the equation becomes as A cos 2 phi x by lambda, okay, So here that we have to remember. So here 2 phi is constant, and constant remains as it is. So here constant we have to take in the front side. So now the equation becomes as 2 phi by lambda, 2 phi by lambda into a cos 2 phi x by lambda. Okay na? So here 2 phi is a constant like this. Sorry, we get the 2 phi by lambda. So yes, so this is the constant. Here this constant comes outside, and the remaining thing is a cos 2 phi x by lambda. Again a cos 2 phi x by lambda. Okay, so here we have write it as 2 phi by lambda. So here lambda is written below the a, so we have to correct it and write it as 2 phi by lambda. And when we differentiate again this equation, that means for the second term we have to differentiate, then we get this equation. And here we have to remember that what we have to remember means the differentiation value of the cos theta is equal to the minus sin theta, minus sin theta. Differentiation of the sin theta is equal to cos theta, but differentiation value of the cos theta is equal to the minus sin theta. Okay, so here yes, so when we differentiate again, once again we get the 2 phi constant, 2 phi by lambda constant along with minus symbol. In the first time differentiation we get 1 2 phi by lambda, and for the second time differentiating we get minus 2 phi by lambda. So 2 phi by lambda into minus 2 phi lambda becomes as minus 4 phi square by lambda square, minus 4 phi square by lambda square. Okay, and a into sin 2 phi x by lambda remains as it is. So, and we know very well that this a sin phi 2 pi x by lambda is equal to nothing but wave function, that is psi. Okay, so look at this value. This value is Ramachandra. This value is nothing but psi. So in the place of psi, then in the place of a sin 2 phi x by lambda, we can write psi. So here we replace this with psi. Then what happens? Look here, the equation becomes as minus here we can write like this, minus 4 phi square psi by lambda square dou square psi by d square psi by dx square is equal to the, look here, d square dx square by sorry Ramachandra Prabhu, d square psi by dx square is equal to the minus 4 phi square psi by lambda square. So if we bring this term to this side, what happens? It becomes positive, and on the other side we get the 0, because as these two are same, generally subtracting same values from one another we get 0. So here we get the what is that, 0 value. So we consider as the equation 2, d square psi by dx square plus 4 phi square by lambda square into psi is equal to the 0. We consider as the equation 2. Okay, now this equation 2 represents the wave motion of any particle along the x-axis, but atoms are 3 dimensional structures. No, atoms are 3-dimensional structures. So since here electron has a wave as well as the particle character, the above equation also represents the wave motion of electron along x-axis. If electron is considered to move along x, y, z axis, and then that means here equation 2, we get equation 2 by considering only x-axis. So we have to apply the same concept for the other two axes, that means y-axis and z-axis. Then what happens, we can write the equation, rewrite the equation like this. Look here, dx square by dx square plus dx square by dy square plus dx square psi by dz square plus 4 phi squared psi by lambda square is equal to the 0. Okay na? So on considering all the three directions, we get this equation. And here in the place of this one, all these axes, here we can write the del square. Okay na? So the del square is called as the Laplacian operator. Laplacian operator. So in a simple manner, we can write the equation as del square psi plus 4 phi square psi upon lambda square is equal to the 0. Okay. Now what we have to do means now look here. So otherwise, if we bring this lambda square, del square psi to the other side, what happens? We get this equation 4 phi square psi upon lambda square is equal to the minus del square, minus del square psi. Okay. And if you bring 4 phi square to the other side, then what happens? The equation becomes as 1 by lambda square is equal to the minus del square psi into 1 by 4 phi square psi. So we consider it as the equation 3. We consider it as the equation 3. That is 1 by lambda square is equal to the 1 by lambda square is equal to the minus del square psi into 1 by 4 phi square psi. So we consider it as the equation 3. And here in this equation, we introduce another equation. We insert another equation which is derived from the de Broglie's equation. And we know very well that de Broglie, okay, and now look here, my dear. De Broglie proposed an equation that shows the relation between the wave nature and particle nature. No, that is lambda is equal to the h by mv. Lambda is equal to the h by mv. So if we square this equation, what do we get? This one, lambda square is equal to the h square upon mx square v square, h square upon mx square into v square. And rewriting the equation, that means if you bring lambda square to this side and m square v square to this side and h square to this side, then what happens? We get this equation. What is that equation? 1 by lambda square is equal to the m square v square upon h square. We consider it as the equation 4. Equation 4. Now here equation 4 is the equation of the 1 by lambda square. In the similar way, equation 3 is the equation of the 1 by lambda square. So both are indicating 1 by lambda square value. So we can make them equal. We can make them equal. Now what happens? Look here. Yes. Look here. From the equation 3 and 4, what do we get? This equation. Look here. So this is from the equation 4 and this is from equation 3. This is from equation 4, this is from equation 3. M square v square by h square is equal to the minus del x square psi into 1 by 4 phi x square psi. Here in the next term, what we do in the next step, what we do means we rewrite the equation in terms of the mv square. So here we bring one m to this side, as a result the equation, and h square to this side. As a result, what happens, mv square is equal to the minus del x square psi into h square upon 4 phi square psi m. Okay na? So from this mv square we can write the equation for the kinetic energy. Kinetic energy is represented with the 1 by 2 mv square. So this is the equation used to calculate the kinetic energy, 1 by 2 mv square. So if we multiply this equation with 1 by 2, we have to multiply this also with 1 by 2. So now the equation becomes as 1 by 2 mv square is equal to the minus del x square psi into the h square upon 8 phi x square psi m. So 4 into 2 becomes 8, no? So here we get the 8. And in the place of this 1 by 2 mv square, half mv square, we can write kinetic energy Ke like this. Okay na? So now look here, this is the equation for the kinetic energy. Ke is equal to the minus del x square psi into h square upon 8 phi square psi m. And rewriting the equation again, what do we get means del x square psi is equal to the minus 8 phi square psi m upon h square into potential energy Ke. And here again we are rewriting the equation, so we bring this term to this side. So as a result, what happens, we get plus in the next equation. So look here, we get the what is that, plus. Okay, so now the equation becomes as del x square psi plus 8 phi square m upon h square into potential energy Ke into psi is equal to the 0. Okay, now we move on to the next step. Look here, so for look here, this equation derived that the electron, look here, this equation is derived by considering that the electrons are free. But in actual practice, electrons are not free. They are in the attraction of the nucleus. So we have to consider the total energy also. If the electrons are moving freely and there is no attraction, so there is no question of potential energy. We use only kinetic energy. But in actual practice, electrons are in the strong attraction of the nucleus. As a result, we have to consider the potential energy also. Potential energy and total energy. And we know very well that total energy is equal to the what is that, kinetic energy and the potential energy, no? So in the place of total energy, kinetic energy, what we can write means, look at, total energy is equal to the kinetic energy plus potential energy. Okay na? So in the place of kinetic energy, what we can write, so we can write like this, total energy minus potential energy. So now we can replace potential energy with total energy minus potential energy. So now this equation, which is here written as the equation 5, okay na? So this equation is, now we are calling it as the equation 5. Okay na? In the previous slide we have derived this one. Look here, this is the equation 5. Here the number is not given, but this is the equation 5. Equation 5. Again we are taking the equation 5 here. Okay, this is equation 5. and in the place of Ke, we write the total energy minus potential energy. So here, look here, we get the equation 6. Okay now. So here the sixth equation is substituted in the equation 5. As a result, what do we get? Sorry, here we write P, not K. Here it is P. So del square psi plus 8 phi square psi m by h square into E minus Pe. This is not K, this is P. Pe into psi is equal to the 0. Here sometimes potential energy is also represented with V. So here we can write V also. So del square psi plus 8 phi square m upon h square into E minus V into psi is equal to 0. We consider as the equation 7. This equation 7 is called as Schrodinger equation. So equation 7 is considered as the Schrodinger equation. Now we go for the importance of the Schrodinger wave equation. From the Schrodinger equation, we came to the concept of the eigenvalues and eigenfunctions. Schrodinger wave equation is a second order differential equation. So it has many solutions for psi. Many of them are imaginary and have no significance. Here, for the Schrodinger equation, we get many solutions. For example, in the square equation also, we get two values. One is imaginary value and the other one is the true value. And as the Schrodinger equation is a double differentiation equation, that means second order differential equation, here we get many solutions. Some of them are imaginary and they have no meaning. So, and only some values have the real meaning. So that means here for the electron all energies are not possible. Electrons will possess only certain energy values. The same concept is there in the quantum mechanics, and Bohr also said the same thing. What is that? Electrons move in the stationary orbits. Stationary orbit means the orbits in which the electrons revolve constantly without losing energy and without gaining energy. So the same point here is arrived from the Schrodinger wave equation. And for the Schrodinger wave, for the solutions of the Schrodinger equation to be true values, then some conditions are to be satisfied by that psi. So what are those conditions? Let us look here. First condition is that the wave function must be finite and continuous. The wave function must be finite and continuous. It should have some definite boundaries. Second condition is that the solution must be single valued at a given point, and there can be never be more than one value for the amplitude of psi. It should have the single value. So this is the second condition. And here we go for the third condition, that d psi by dx, d psi by dy and d psi by dz must be continuous functions of x, y, z respectively. Okay na? And the fourth condition is that the probability of finding an electron in the overall space from the plus infinity to minus infinity must be equal to 1. So this is the fourth condition. The probability of finding electron from plus infinity to the minus infinity should be equal to the 1. Okay, so these are the four conditions that are to be satisfied by the psi in order to get a meaningful solutions for the Schrodinger equation. And those functions which give true solutions or meaningful solutions are known as the Eisen functions. And those values which are true or which have some meaning are called as the Eisen values. Okay. And here still some points are there for us to read. Okay. However, it differs from the Bohr's theory. According to Bohr, the circular orbit of the electrons are planar. Bohr says that circular paths are planar. Even though they are stationary, they lie in one plane according to Bohr. And according to Schrodinger wave equation, electrons move around in the three-dimensional space. So that is the difference here. In the both theories, in the Schrodinger equation as well as in the Bohr's theory, electrons have definite energy values, but the electron paths according to Bohr are planar, and according to the Schrodinger, electron paths are three-dimensional structures. Okay, and for an atom, these Eisen values correspond to discrete sets of energy values postulated by the Bohr. Thus, we find the concept of the wave mechanics relates to this point here. We have to remember that we find the concept of the wave mechanics relates to the presence of the definite energies of the atom as said by the Bohr. So, both are here accepting each other. Okay, na? So both are coinciding here. Next here, second importance of the Schrodinger equation is that from the Schrodinger equation we are able to calculate the energies of the electrons. From the Bohr's equation also we are able to calculate the energies of the electrons in the similar manner. By the Schrodinger equation also we are able to calculate the energies of the electrons. Look here in the hydrogen, for example, here energy calculation of the hydrogen atom is explained. In the hydrogen atom, in the nucleus we have only one electron and one proton and one electron. And we know very well that protons and electrons have the same quantity of charge, So here we consider the charge of the proton as plus E and the charge of the electron as the minus E. Quantity is same, but symbol is different, plus E and minus E. So here the potential energy of the electron becomes as minus E square upon R. Okay. So this is equal to the mgh. P is equal to the mgh. Okay, from that we can easily get this minus Zdx square by R. Okay, and if we substitute this P is equal to minus E square by R, we get this equation. Okay, na? So in the place of potential energy we are writing E square upon R, and from that equation we can get this equation. En is equal to that is the Schrodinger equation for the hydrogen atom. On solving that equation, we get En is equal to the minus 2π square into m e to the power of 4 upon n square into h square. Here n means nth level in which the hydrogen atom is present. electrons of the hydrogen atom are present. And for the hydrogen atom, look here, we know here in this equation, we know the mass of the electron, charge of the electron, Planck's constant, and if we put n is equal to 1, that means by considering the electrons are present, electron is present in the n is equal to 1 shell. If we calculate the energy, we get this value 13.6 electron volt. So this is the energy of the electron of hydrogen atom in the first shell, first orbital, or in the first part. Now look here. Third important point is that from the Schrodinger equation, here we got the concept of the quantum numbers. Look here, when Schrodinger wave equation is solved for energy calculations, three constants n, l and m are involved. These three constants must signify the three quantum numbers of an electron. The solution also shows that these constants are related to one another as follows. So while solving the Schrodinger equation, we would use some constants. So these constants are n, l and m. Okay, and these constants have the relation with one another. So for example, the values of n are integral values, and l also have the integral values. L values lie from 0 to -1, and n values lie from 1 onwards. Okay, na? And second point is that L may be greater than or equal to the n minus 1. So if n has the 2, n value is 2, then L will get what is that? L will get 0 and 1 value. That means n minus 1. This is n minus 1. If n is equal to 2, n is equal to 1. And for n is equal to 1, L has only one value, that is 0. N minus 1, that is 0. So the L values are equal to the n number, n value, and those numbers are from 0 to -1. Third point is that the values of n plus l and 2l plus 1 are whole numbers. That means they are integer values. These are not fractional values. And values of m, that means magnetic quantum number, vary from -l to +l. These relations derived from the wave equation are exactly the same as derived from the spectroscopic measurements. So the quantum number values which are calculated by using the Schrodinger equation are very much similar to that of the values derived from the spectroscopic measurements. So this is the strong proof for the Schrodinger's wave equation. Strong support, not proof, strong support to the Schrodinger's wave equation. Now if we go for the fourth important point of the Schrodinger equation, that it helps to calculate the probability of finding electron around the nucleus in a different energy states, Now by using once again we try to recollect the importance of the Schrodinger equation. First importance is that it proposes the concept of the eigenvalues and eigenfunctions, nothing but stationary orbits, so which are similar to the stationary orbits of the Bohr's atomic model. So first importance of the Schrodinger equation is that proposal of the eigenvalues and the eigenfunctions. Second one is that it is able to calculate the energy of the electrons in the atoms, that means in the hydrogen atom. Third point is that it developed the concept of the quantum numbers. And fourth point is that what is that fourth point? It helps to calculate the probability of finding electron around the nucleus in different energy states. So first important point is that eigenvalues and eigenfunctions. Second important point of Schrodinger equation is that energy calculations. Third important point is that quantum numbers. And the fourth important point is that probability of finding electron around the nucleus in the different energy states. So like that. And so Schrodinger equation also has some limitations. So this Schrodinger equation is applicable for the species which have single electron, like hydrogen atom. Lithium, look here, helium atom contains 2 electrons. So Schrodinger equation is not applicable to the helium atom, even to the helium atom, but it is applicable to the helium plus 1 ion. Helium plus 1 ion, because helium plus 1 ion is very much similar to the hydrogen atom. In the similar manner, this Schrodinger equation is not applicable for the lithium atom or Li plus 1 ion, because in lithium atom we have 3 electrons. In lithium Li plus cation we have 2 electrons, whereas in Li plus 2 ion we have the the single electron. So for such type of species only, Schrodinger's equation is applicable. So that is the main drawback of this Schrodinger's equation. Okay. Yes. Now we move on to the significance of this psi. Look here. It is a wave function which is the solution to the Schrodinger wave equation. Second point is that it represents the amplitude of the wave and describes how this amplitude varies with the distance and direction. Okay, na? Every amplitude says the same thing. So, okay. Next, third point. That Schrodinger wave equation may have the different values of the psi. All values may not be significant. So here under the third point we are discussing about the eigenfunctions and eigenvalues. Okay, na? Okay, right. So psi is the amplitude of the electronic wave, and psi tells about the change of the electronic wave along the axis. It's the axis of propagating. Okay. Now we go for the significance of the psi wave. For light waves, it represents the intensity of the light, and for electronic waves, it represents the intensity of the electrons at any point. For the light waves, it represents the intensity of the light, and for the electronic waves, it represents the intensity of the electrons. So that means it tells about the probability of the finding electron around the nucleus. Probability of the finding electron in the around the nucleus. Third point is that it leads to the idea of the orbital. Psi wave leads to the idea of the orbital. Okay. Okay, thank you, my dears. So it's all about the Schrodinger equation, its derivation, its importance and limitations, significance of psi and psi square. Thank you.